are Cooley. When David first asked me to do this video, I honestly didn't know why at first. I have not had this crazy traumatic experience that led me to God, or something crazy happened in my life that got me here. But as I thought about it, I realized that my story of transformation is not about a traumatic event that led us here, but a godly transformation that Ryan and I have gone through in the past year and a half. I have always been in church. Since I was young, my parents have had me in church every Sunday and every Wednesday. Anytime the doors were open, we were there. I was a kid at VBS who would rededicate her life every year because I was so scared that I wouldn't go to heaven if I didn't. So fast forward to right after high school, I was going to church in Malden. So I was driving from Williamston, where I live with my parents, to Malden, and Ryan and I had just started dating, so he was going to church with me up there. And it was a drive, but we really loved it. After we got married, we continued to go to church in Malden. And then about 5 months after we got married, we got custody of my 11-year-old niece, Savannah. So not only were we newlyweds, but we also had a preteen, and we had no clue what we were doing. It was around this time at that church in Malden where I thought that Ryan and I had this great transformation of our lives. Ryan nor Savannah had been baptized before, and I had a stirring in my heart that the 25 times I rededicated my life growing up was more out of fear that I would go to hell, and not true belief that I had in Jesus Christ. So on August the 26th of that year, Ryan, Savannah, and I all got baptized together. And I thought this was it. Like, this is how we're supposed to live our lives. This is how we're supposed to raise our children. This is what we're supposed to show our children and how we're supposed to live. So we continued to go to church there in Malden for the next year or so. But soon we started to realize that Savannah was missing out on some key things. She was missing out on a youth group. She was only getting to go to church on Sunday mornings because we couldn't make the drive after work on Wednesdays. She was also not getting to go to school with the kids that she went to church with. So we decided to find a church in Belton where our kids would go to school with the peers that they went to church with, and that our kids would go to church and they would talk about God at school with those people. So this is really where our backsliding began. Fast forward 5 years, and we still had not found that church. And honestly, we were not trying that hard. We would randomly visit churches, and we would go with friends and family during events, but we didn't really search for a home church like we're supposed to, and like we were thinking we needed to. We were still good people. We still did good things, but we were no longer in a church, and neither were our kids. And it was constantly going through my mind, things like, what is being a good person without Jesus? And what are we showing our children? And at this point in our lives, we had Savannah, who was a junior, Parker, who was 5, and I was what felt like 100 months pregnant with Emmy when Parker's soccer season started. And this is where I feel our real, true transformation started. Parker started playing soccer for the Rec when he was 5, so 2 years ago. And we just so happened to get put on a team that David was coaching. And we had never met David and Katie before. We had never even heard their name before. We had no clue who they were. And one day at practice, I was talking to another mom about how we were searching for a church. And Katie, being Katie, came over and said, "I've got the perfect church for you. You need to come visit our church, Shady Grove." And I told her that I would, because our plan was that we were going to visit all the churches in Belton. We were bringing another life into the world, and we already had a 5-year-old who had barely been to church, and it was eating me alive. But we decided once I had the baby and we got settled in our routine that we would visit. And Katie was persistent. Every single time we saw each other, she reminded me, hey, I'll see you at church. You know, you're going to come visit us at church. And so the new year in 2023, the New Year service was our very first service at Shady Grove. And we immediately felt at home. Obviously, with Ryan being from Belton, we knew a lot of people, but it wasn't just that we knew people. We were sent cards from strangers who were just happy that we were at church. People remembered our names and stories that we had told them and asked about our family. People prayed with us and asked what can they do for us and how can they help us without even knowing us. The seed that David and Katie planted started to bloom in the most beautiful way for our family. And we started coming to church every single time the doors were open. We volunteered and started helping out in any way we can. We joined committees, and by we, I mean me, joining every committee I could think of. We started reading our Bibles for the first time because we wanted to, not because we had to or felt like we needed to. We're showing our kids what it was like to be filled with the Holy Spirit and live a life like that. We are surrounding ourselves and our kids with Christ-like people and godly influencers. We feel lighter, we feel healthier, we feel at peace. I'm doing things that I've always wanted to do, like sing, but fear always held me back. I was joking with David the other day about the story he told about Katie on Sunday. We took Parker to his first professional soccer game over the week, and he really wanted to meet a player or get an autograph or something like that. And I was kind of avoiding it because I really didn't want to go down there. It was a lot. And David told that story, and I was like, I do not need to be a David. I need to be a Katie. But in all seriousness, I do want to be a Katie. This transformation that we've had has made me want to be a Katie. It has made me want to speak up when I didn't want to about my faith and about my church. It has made me want to stay persistent in inviting people to church and to Christ. It has made me want to speak about Jesus to my coworkers, to my family, and to my friends. It has made fear fall away from me so that I can use my gifts to glorify Christ. We aren't perfect, and we still spend every single day trying to figure out this life. But hopefully my transformation will help me lead others to their transformation so that I spend my days planting seeds like Katie did for us.